time now for French Connections, our look at the intricacies of life here in France with Solange Mougin. And Solange, this week you're focusing on the French relationship with sex, and you have a rather burning question.
Yeah, is France the country of amour, of love, of romance? Well, is it in the midst of a sex recession? And that is what the French Institute of Public Opinion, IFOP, wanted to know. And their poll, in conjunction with Lilo, it found that this trend, which is hitting a number of countries, it's hitting France as well, that French people are having less sex. Nearly a fourth of those polled, or 24%, said that they had not had sex in the past year. That's a 15% drop from the 2006 numbers, which was 9%. And this tendency, well, of less sex, well, it's particularly true among young people, who today are 5 times more likely to abstain.
That's so interesting, Solange. Do we have any idea about why?
We do, and there are many, many, many reasons. First, people are more open. They're more open now. There's less shame about these subjects, or whether they want, to use an old expression, faire des galipettes or not. And this is our expression du jour. It literally means to do somersaults, but it also means, in a cutesy kind of way, faire l'amour. Now, in the past half-century, norms have also changed and opened up. There's been more acceptance of LGBTQIA+ community. Today, it represents just under 10% of the population, with 1 in 10 French people saying that they are asexual. As for celibacy, that idea was once taboo as well.
Cet amour que je ne faisais pas, il s'est transformé en écoute aux autres. C'est-à-dire que j'étais très très attentive aux autres. Donc c'était une manière pour moi de prendre un plaisir que de me mettre en empathie avec les autres.
Another reason is that women are increasingly feeling the ability to say no to sex. Part of this freedom comes from the post-MeToo ethos. France is still very much in the midst of this, but overall there is a breaking down in France of taboos.
On en parle, on se libère, ça permet de mieux se connaître.
On ose dire notre sexualité, on ose dire ce qu'on fait, alors qu'avant on n'en parlait pas du tout.
Now, today, some men and women are choosing quality over quantity. For others, the risk of assault makes it not worth it. Same goes for for a sort of primping fatigue. For others, their libido has dropped because of the stresses of the times that we're living in.
And Solange, of course, everybody's relationship to sex is intrinsically personal, but it is also a question, isn't it, of the times we live in?
Yeah, and the times before us. There are so many factors at play here: education, political movements, religious ones, media, personal experiences, and also what came before. Analysts believe that there may be a historical swing going on right now, in much of the same way that France's 1968 generation chose a different path from generations before them.
Je trouve ça absolument aberrant qu'on se marie sans se connaître. Et se connaître, c'est se connaître aussi bien moralement que physiquement.
Je ne crois pas que ce soit une bonne préparation à une vie conjugale heureuse et épanouie que de mettre la charrue avant les bœufs.
And Solange, access to contraception revolutionized sexuality here in France. Is that still the case today?
It is very much so. Like the right to abortion, the contraception law of 1967 revolutionized practices, and it still does. Seeing a drop, actually, in protection among young people, namely for financial reasons, in 2022, the government made it free for all those under the age of 26.
Elles viennent ici parce que c'est gratuit, anonyme, qu'on va leur dispenser la contraception. Elles ne sont pas obligées. C'est vrai que quand les parents ne sont pas toujours forcément au courant non plus.
Now, gender imbalances continue in regard to contraception. However, men are actually increasingly becoming a part of the conversation. According to a February 2024 study, there's been a huge increase in demand for vasectomies from under 2,000 in 2010 to over 30,000 in 2022.
Yeah, those are quite some figures, Solange. Let's talk, though, about pornography and about mobile phones, because both can have a major effect, can't they?
Yeah, they can. First, let's do phones. A 2023 poll found by Cell found that 54% of people actually prefer their cell phones to their partners, and another one found that over 40% would rather actually watch TV or play a video game than have sex. As for pornography, it abounds beyond the dangers of the industry itself. Young people and children are increasingly exposed to it with very, very few effective safeguards.
Mais tu par pur hasard, comme il y a un zappant à la télé.
On peut voir, mais on ne comprendrait pas tout. Puis des fois, ce serait un peu gênant ou un peu choquant.
Now, we know that education has a major role to play in our understanding of sex and sexuality. And here, France does have some work to do.
Yeah, it does. French law stipulates that a student must receive 3 classes on sex ed per year.
Si on est consentant à un moment, ça ne veut pas dire que le lendemain on sera consentant. C'est pas parce qu'on l'a déjà fait avec la personne et même en général qu'on est forcément OK pour le faire cette fois-ci.
But 17% of French students say that they have never actually had a single sex ed course, and a few receive all 3 of them. Why? Well, teachers aren't sufficiently trained to discuss these sometimes delicate subjects. Specialists are often not invited enough to schools, and also there is often sometimes pushback from parents. 3 major non-profits, they actually sued the French state for not doing their duty in educating teens who, on average, have their first sexual experience at age 17.
And finally, Solange, it's worth reiterating that it's not just children, actually, who could do with a bit of sex ed.
No, not at all. Many adults could use a fresher upper as well, as we're about to see in this very humorous footage from 1983.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que l'insémination?
C'est former des curés, des jeunes curés.
Où ça?
Au séminaire.
Êtes-vous monogame, monsieur?
Non, non, je suis pas monogame. Maintenant, c'est la stéréo, maintenant.
Êtes-vous pour le ménage à 3, madame?
Oui.
Pourquoi?
Parce que je dis que la femme doit être libre. Elle ne
C'est-à-dire?
doit pas tout le temps être à la maison à faire le ménage.
Nymphomane, vous voyez ce que ça signifie, monsieur?
Oui.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
L'information. Celui qui fait des informations.
What I love about these images is that a lot of them have now become quite common. These terms have become quite common knowledge today, which is a case in point that the French people, they may be having less sex, but views and understanding about sexuality and about sex, well, they are progressing.
Well, that certainly is good news. Thank you very much indeed, Solange Mougin, for us there. And if you want more from our French Connections team, you can find that on our website. That's france24.com.